On the precipice of the eclipse season, Venus stations retrograde on Saturday, March 1st, and until April 12th, she will move backwards from the fiery, independent, direct sign of Aries into the sensitive, magical, dreamy sign of Pisces. Be ready for a major rewind in all matters of love, art, and beauty, and do not hesitate to say no to some of your exes trying to come back into your life. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. I also do electional readings, helping you choose the date for your wedding, and locational astrology, helping you figure out the best place in the world for you to move to. Thank you for being here. If you enjoy my work, please show your support by leaving me a like, a comment, subscribing, and pressing that notification bell. Watch more of my videos. It really helps my channel grow, helps YouTube algorithm to push my content in front of all of the other channels. I appreciate that. And you can also say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, a croissant, anything like that is great. And I appreciate you guys. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you stay for a while. So before we dive in, if you're looking to work with me, you have personal questions, you want to know what your soul came here to do, what your karmic purpose is, natal chart reading is best for that. You're trying to understand how to make your relationship better, relationship reading is great for that. Or you're looking at the year to come, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com to get your questions answered and to get that personal touch that comes with a one-on-one consultation. On my website, you can also find a variety of products I create. There are paper products like my notebooks and the planner, as well as the magical astrological creations. I have been very fascinated in the topic of electional astrology for a while, ever since I first learned it from Austin Kopach when I was taking his classes. He's like, you know, very much into that as well. Must be our Gemini moons. So I have been carefully selecting the times, creating a ritual, choosing the ingredients that are aligned with the planet, and creating magical products such as candles, bracelets, and oils. And in this video, I'd like to highlight my Exalted Venus candle. It is beautiful green, the color of Venus, and is decorated with aquamarine stone, which is a stone of Venus. It captures Venus exalted, which means empowered, in the sign of Pisces. Very romantic, very compassionate, very spiritual and soulful. People born with Venus in Pisces, and if you're one of them, let me know in the comments below, they love love. They're just true romantics at heart. So this can help improve your relationships, bring inspiration into your creative process, and help you find more heart-centered connections. It can also make you more magnetic, so you can draw in the people and alliances that you seek. Highly, highly recommend this for the upcoming Venus retrograde. We can all use this energy for the next 6 weeks while Venus is retrograde. If you were born with Venus in the sign of detriment, Aries or Scorpio, or Venus in the sign of fall, Virgo, Venus struggles in those signs, this is the choice for you. If your natal Venus is retrograde, if it's placed in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, which are difficult placements for her as well. And if she squares, opposes, or conjoins Saturn, I would go with this candle. And I just love the way it smells. It smells like, officially it's like high tide, so it's ocean smell, but I really pick up on like cucumber water mixed in. And it also smells like a little bit like a male aftershave. It's very, very refreshing. Love it. So what is Venus? Why do we care about her going retrograde? What a question, right? Venus is the cosmic glue. She is the planet that is the charming, attractive, diplomatic planet, the most connection-oriented planet, right? She wants to connect our hearts with beauty around us, so she's connected to appreciating the world and seeing the beauty. She is the planet of attraction, accord, compassion, love, understanding. When she is in Aries, she's very no BS, my way or the highway, very independent, likes her own space, very much willing to take on the fight for any unfairness. She's just gonna say what she feels. So as she stations retrograde and she starts to move from Aries back into Pisces, there is some sort of sense that we're moving from the Amazonian Xena, the warrior princess, to the forgiving, soulful mermaid, right? So on some level, there may be a need for more compassion. We're going from the sign of detriment, Venus and Aries, very masculine on some level, very like, go for it. It doesn't mean people born with Venus and Aries are like masculine, right? But like Aries is a masculine martial sign. So when Venus is in Aries, she has no choice but to behave in a very like direct, clear way, right? And so she's going from that into the sign of her exaltation, Pisces. So we're sort of moving from being too blunt to being more forgiving, from being maybe too fiery and feisty and unafraid of the fight to being more understanding and loving and compassionate. So I like it. I feel like this suggests that there's a need for more acceptance, for more faith, and for more trust. It is coinciding with the eclipse season. We are on the verge of the eclipse season beginning on March 14th. All of March is basically the eclipse season. And it also coincides with Mercury retrograde, also moving from Aries into Pisces between March 15th and April 7th. So there's a lot of revision, right? And we're going to have an eclipse, the very last eclipse in Aries on March 29th. So Aries sector of your chart is just on fire, as it's traditionally going to be on fire because it's a fiery house, fiery sign. But there is a lot of rethinking going on so that when we get the eclipse on March 29th, the final eclipse in Aries, you will realize what's working and what's not working, and you'll be more willing to make the changes necessary. The retrograde starts on March 1st, which is, like I said, a Saturday, March 1st, and it lasts until April 12th, which is Wednesday. So 6 weeks is pretty much always the duration of the retrograde. And it starts at 10 degrees, 50 minutes Aries, and Venus travels back to 24 degrees, 37 minutes Pisces. And the degrees are important, especially if you have planets somewhere in that range, right? And so I would say if you have planets between 24 and 29 degrees mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius. And then if you have planets or angles, your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, IC, between about 0 and 11 degrees cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, then this retrograde will hit you much, much stronger. If you have questions about personal chart and how this might affect you, I recommend booking a reading with a professional astrologer. You can find my readings at anastasiadoesastrology.com. So what happens when Venus goes retrograde, right? She travels direct. Well, actually, you can think about Venusian cycle at the place of like the Venus and Sun conjunction when the both are direct. The Venus cazimi, right? It's often that moment of inception when Venus converses with the Sun. She gets her mission, her shining star that she follows, right? And then she travels, and at some point, she maybe stirs or sways, moves away from her mission too far. She maybe leans too much into overindulgence, or she follows connection more than important sort of goals, right? And she comes to this place where she needs to travel back. She needs to rethink, she needs to review, she needs to revisit. So on some level, Venus retrograde is like journeying into the underworld of love, of relationships, of connection. And we're examining those things that maybe are more shadowy, more difficult, more complicated. That's often a sign of people who are born with Venus retrograde. They might be more able to see kind of light and beauty in the darkness. They usually have very unique sense of taste and style and appreciation for things that lack symmetry, that lack the classical things we find beautiful, but yet have their own spirit. So it's an important, I think it could be a very deeply powerful time for our relationships. Of course, it's going to create a lot of relationship questions too. There might be a need to review old fights, to rethink whether the person you're with is the right person for you, to answer questions honestly. I wouldn't recommend making sort of drastic decisions when it comes to your style and beauty and even love during Venus retrograde, because you might change your mind when she goes direct. You may feel more insecure, uncertain of yourself, of your look, your style, your hair, makeup, all of that stuff. So that's why, once again, don't do something you wouldn't do otherwise. Like if you are someone who gets tattoos regularly and you've been thinking about getting a moon tattooed on your ear, go for it, right? But if you're someone who like never was interested in tattoos, and then suddenly you decide to get one, maybe just like wait a beat, right? Also, it might be the time, like Venus retrograde might be the time you're like going back to your wardrobe and looking over outfits you once used to wear, or you're going back to the tattoo you got and covering it up. Going back to relationships is another pretty common manifestation. And here I would say most strongly this is going to show up for Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius risings, potentially, because Venus is retrograding through your 7th and 5th houses. So exes might show up for many other people as well, but for those 4 signs especially, sometimes we need to dip our toes back into the old pool of water to be reminded of why we left that pool to begin with. So there might be a need to revisit some of the old wounds and heal, right? Sort of healing, rethinking, connecting with yourself and what you truly want is very much the point here. So it could be, like I said, it could be very insightful, it could be very revealing, but it could also bring up an element of uncertainty and maybe sort of lift up everything that's been hiding in the darkness of your soul. Some of the important dates here to note: March 22nd is Venus Cazimi, which represents the turning point of the retrograde. On March 27th, Venus returns into Pisces, where she will stay for about a month until April 30th. And this is where we're sort of, we start on the 1st. On the 11th, Mercury conjoins Venus. You get a chance to speak your piece, express your thoughts. On the 22nd, we get Venus Cazimi, which is the moment of insight, understanding, and a turning point in the retrograde. On the 27th, Venus returns into Pisces, and perhaps you have a sense of like understanding where you can compromise versus where you cannot compromise. You're becoming more aware of where does fantasy meet reality, whether you're happy or not, or can you be happy or not. Venus will make a series of aspects from Pisces. On the 27th, she conjoins Neptune, and then on the 6th of April, she's gonna trine Mars, and then on the 7th of April, she's gonna conjoin Saturn. So there is a lot of Venus conjunct Saturn is especially interesting on April 7th and brings back the energy from January 18th. And then Venus will conjoin Saturn again on April 24th. So January 18th, take a look back at what was happening in your relationships. Did you talk about anything serious? What was happening in your creative project and your collaborations as well, because April 7th with Venus conjoining Saturn, 3 days before, 3 days after, will give you a chance to rethink, review, readjust. And then the 24th of April might be the time when you're sort of willing to put the finishing touches and either move forward or step away. Venus goes direct on April 12th in 24 degrees 37 minutes Pisces. And then on the 30th, she comes back to Aries, where she will stay until June 6th. So it's an interesting one. It's a big transit. We get it once every 18 months, so it's not super common. but it's not like incredibly rare as well. So let's take a look at the 12 rising signs. Before we do that, just another reminder, you can find me at anastasia.astrology.com for a personal consultation and for a more insightful, analytical look at your chart, your year coming up, your relationship. If you are an Aries rising, Venus is traveling from your first into the 12th houses, and you're getting a chance to rethink how you present yourself. Venus in the first, from March 1st until March 27th, is very much the time when you are maybe rethinking what you look like, rethinking your style, feeling like you need to go over your skincare routine, beauty routine. There might be a lot of kind of awareness of your body and your health and your well-being. And then as Venus returns into your 12th house and is retrograding there from March 27th until April 12th, you are perhaps realizing the more hidden parts of yourself that are still affecting your look and your style and your personality. You're getting a chance to examine your self-defeating tendencies, your bad habits. Like, let's say you've been focusing a lot on losing weight, or you've been focusing a lot on getting into shape, and you're struggling, right? It's not working out. So Venus begins the retrograde in the first house and then goes back into your 12th house. And maybe you are realizing that the reason why you're not losing weight is because you sort of like, there might be some kind of connection between being seen or, you know, being afraid to be vulnerable. And so when you have extra weight on you, it's sort of a protection, right? So there might be a lot of like understanding there, deeper realization. This might also be a period where you start asking questions around like, who am I? And the answers come from the 12th house, which is the place of spirituality and healing, astrology, tarot, yoga, meditations. You may also be embracing these kind of like hidden spiritual aspects to yourself. It could be quite an interesting ride. It's also interesting that Venus rules your second house of money and values and your seventh house of relationships. So this retrograde might also affect your sense of priorities and maybe even your finances, especially if you are very much like questioning your wardrobe and your skincare, right? And because it rules your seventh house, your partner might be feeling it, possibly even more than you're feeling it. For more questions, visit anastasia.astrology.com. We can do a relationship, natal, or a predictive reading, and highly, highly recommend this beautiful exalted Venus candle. For the lovely Taurus rising, Venus begins its retrograde in your 12th house and moves into your 11th house. And Venus is your chart ruler. Your chart ruler going retrograde is important, right? Because it is you. It is the planet that's like in charge of you. So it may affect your overall sense of your motivation, your goals, even your sense of like energy and purpose. You might begin to question it, right? Like Venus starts the retrograde in the 12th house and you're being very introspective. You're looking at your bad habits. You're looking at your self-defeating tendencies. There might be some relationship matters that you're addressing with someone from the past. Like Venus retrograde in the 12th might be the time to bring something from your unconsciousness into your consciousness. Talk to your therapist about a wound, unprocessed relationship issue. There might also be a sense of becoming more aware of the choices that you're making when you go for the certain kind of people. Venus retrograding, first she's in your 12th house from March 1st until March 27th, might also be bringing up all the questions around like, how do you stand in your own way? What kind of things you do that are hiding in your blind spot that you're not fully aware of, that sabotage you. And then as she returns into your 11th house, between March 27th and April 12th, she's still retrograde there, right? You are looking at how those self-defeating tendencies affect your dreams. You're looking at your self-defeating tendencies in friendships and in relationships, and maybe realizing, once again, how to be a better partner, how to be more kind of confident friend. You may be realizing that there is some kind of like jealousy or unhealthy competition in your friendships. Venus from the 12th into the 11th might also be that there is something hiding in your like blind spot, which could be your love for yoga or your love for astrology or tarot that needs to be brought into the community, into the more visible realm, need to be made part of your everyday life, part of your goals, right? Venus rules not only your first, but also your sixth house of work, health, and service. So, you know, maybe it's your love for writing or your love for reading behind which hides your true love for telling stories. So kind of making things more conscious, I think, is important here. For more guidance, visit Anastasia Does Astrology, book your reading on there, and definitely pick up my Exalted Venus candle or Venus in Taurus. Both are really good for you and really wonderful during the retrograde time. If you are the lovely Gemini rising, Venus is retrograding from your 11th into the 10th house. And this could be the time when you are quite sort of literally going over your connections. And you're thinking, okay, who would I partner up with? Who can I reach out to that knows the president of the network? You're maybe reconnecting with old friends and brainstorming ideas. There might also be some kind of like friendship matter that requires attention. A friend might be going through a bit more of a difficult time and relies on you, leans on you around this time. You may also this could be quite an interesting time to review your dreams and look back at like, what did you always want to do? What did you want to do when you were 10? How did you answer the question, who are you going to be when you grow up, right? A lot of times we, as kids, right, we say those things and later most of us don't follow them, right? But is there a way, like if you've always wanted to be an astronaut or you've always wanted to be a ballerina, is there a way to bring more like science or dance or ballet, even like bar exercise into your life? But because the first part of the retrograde is in the 11th and then on March 27th it shifts into your 10th house, it does feel very much that you're like reevaluating your dreams so that you can make them more of a career. You are reconnecting with friends and allies and associates, like reaching out to all kinds of people. Maybe you're reaching out to your old dean so that you can potentially teach at the university you used to study at, right? So there is like a sense of going back towards something, reconnecting with people so that you can build a new exciting future. And Venus rules your 5th house of romance, pleasure, children, parenthood, and your 12th house of mental health, spirituality, and like self-defeating tendencies. So there might also be perhaps like opportunities to rediscover joy or to heal something, to allow yourself to have fun and be the kind of person you want to be. If you're looking for more guidance, visit AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I can do your relationship, natal, or year ahead reading. Solar return is great to do right before your birthday as well. And I highly, highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle, or Venus in Taurus, or Venus in Libra. Any Venus candle during the retrograde time. It could be a perfect accompaniment, perfect tool you need to make your retrograde better. If you are a Cancer rising, Venus is retrograding from your 10th into the 9th house. And there might be some work matters that feel uncertain. Maybe there are some misunderstandings, miscommunications with your bosses that you need to review. There might be like an overall sense of uncertainty about the direction that your life is taking or the career path that you find yourself in. Anything from sort of like logistical matters or miscommunications you need to address to a more larger sense of who am I? Where am I going? What are my goals, right? And then as Venus shifts into the 9th house on March 27th and continues her retrograde there until April 12th, you are trying to dig deep in terms of your motivations, in terms of your beliefs, in terms of your guiding principles. You're maybe reconnecting with teachers, mentors. Astrologers are very much in the domain of the ninth house and asking for help. So going back to people you consider as like guides and authorities. There might also be a sense of like going back to school as you're finishing up some kind of test or exam, or needing to do something to get closer to your dreams. So it's almost like as you're questioning professional matters, you really either need to like contact someone to ask for help, redo some logistics, maybe redo some legal matters, visas, appointments, travel matters. Or you need to go back to school and sort of reacquire the knowledge that you need. Legal matters can be kind of confusing at this time, so be ready maybe for some delays when it comes to also getting answers at work, getting answers from teachers, from lawyers, from travel authorities. And Venus rules your 4th house of home and family and your 11th house of hopes, dreams, friendships. So there may also be some kind of confusion there. So for those of you Cancer risings that are in education, or those of you that are traveling for a living or planning to move, there might be some kind of like glitch and delay there. And because Venus rules your 11th house, I think you're also maybe questioning your allies and questioning your dreams and perhaps trying to figure out the best path to get to where you're trying to go. For more guidance, visit Anastasia.astrology.com. Book a reading with me to ask personal questions about your chart. Highly recommend the Exalted Venus candle during the retrograde, and especially if you're born with Venus in Aries, Scorpio, or Virgo, Venus in the 12th, 6th, or 8th houses, Venus retrograde. For the beautiful Leo rising, Venus is retrograding from your 9th into the 8th houses. And so there might be, Venus beginning her retrograde from March 1st until March 27th in your 9th house. You're maybe dealing with some questions around education, rethinking what you're studying, right? Rethinking how long it's going to take you to study. And as Venus goes into the 8th house on March 27th, you're maybe addressing some scholarships, student loans, consulting people about kind of streamlining maybe your education process. Yeah, like doing some kind of, negotiating, financial adjustment is very likely here. 9th house is also the realm of working in education. So if you work in education, there may be some financial matters that are maybe slowing down during the retrograde, or some legal matters that are dragging that you need to address. Legal sort of issues, lawyers, teachers, mentors, maybe needing to be replaced, or you need to have some kind of serious conversations with them. With Venus retrograding from the 9th into the 8th, you're maybe also feeling a little bit uncertain about where you see yourself and where you're going. You're maybe having some kind of like identity crisis, and religion or therapy or astrology can be a really, really great source of help for you. Having, I keep thinking with Venus retrograding in the 8th too, I keep thinking of like needing to talk about things that are uncomfortable, needing to give voice to some matters that involve money, that involve agreements with other people, that involve paying for things. Venus rules your 3rd house. That's why I guess communication is going to be important. So matters involving communication, matters involving exams, siblings, maybe talking to siblings about something. Venus also rules your 10th house. So here we're talking about career, right? How do you need to change your finances? What kind of education do you still need to get? What kind of legal matter you need to address? Maybe you need to finish applying for your citizenship so that you feel more free to kind of pursue your goals. All of these questions are important here. For more guidance, visit Anastasia.astrology.com, book your natal, relationship, or predictive reading, and pick up my Venus candle. I would recommend Venus and Taurus for you guys, especially because because it falls in your 10th house of career. But exalted Venus, Venus in Libra, all of those are pretty good for you too. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus begins its retrograde in your 8th house, and then on the 27th of March, it shifts into your 7th house. And here you're looking at your agreements with other people. You're maybe looking at finances, right? This could be the time when you're like negotiating a prenup, or maybe you started a business with someone and you're feeling that things are kind of unfair. So Venus retrograding in the 8th might be the time you need to renegotiate, you need to clear some debts, you need to figure out the terms of contract that work for you, that apply for you. And you need to talk to your significant other, you need to talk to your business partner, you need to talk to your nanny or anyone who is in some type of like real or symbolic marriage with you, especially as Venus goes back into the 7th house. There may be an ex coming back into your life, and so you may also be questioning whether you can deal with them, or if you still love them, maybe it's the time to rethink how and what kind of conditions you're willing to accept. Venus rules your 2nd house of personal finances and your 9th house of education, travel, writing, publishing. So maybe it's a writing contract that you're negotiating, or some kind of financial agreement where you need to get on the same page with a person. I'd love to know how this resonates. Highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle for you guys. It falls in your 7th house of relationships, and it's a strong, empowered, loving, compassionate, magnetic Venus. Check it out, and you can find it at anastasia.astrology.com. On there, you can also book a relationship, a year ahead, or natal chart reading. I can also help you choose the date for your wedding, or help you figure out the place in the world that would suit you the best. For my beautiful Libra risings, Venus is retrograding from your 7th into your 6th house. And this could be relationship oriented. There could be two separate themes, right? Venus is retrograde in Aries until March 27th, and you're dealing with romantic matters, you're questioning your relationship, you're addressing old fights, you're maybe dealing with an ex or two trying to come back into your life. And then from March 27th until April 12th, there might be more work, health related matters, even serving others, helping others. All of that could be like two separate questions. Venus is your chart ruler, right? So when she goes retrograde, you are bound to feel more insecure, more confused, more uncertain. So be ready for that. Try to get some support, lean into self-care. I highly recommend a Venus candle. This is Exalted Venus. Venus in Libra, 2 or 3 is even better for you, 10 times better, because it's created with Venus in Libra and you are a Libra rising. So get that as a sense of like support. The retrograde going from the 7th into the 6th might also suggest that there are some adjustments that need to happen in your one-on-one partnerships. And it could be about your marriage relationship, where you need to figure out like a better way to do the dishes, or you need to address maybe the elephant in the room that has to do with like, will you move in together? Or maybe you're dealing with your partner's health is affecting your life, or your health, right? Like maybe you feel ready to get married and get pregnant, but there are some health issues that you first need to take care of. There might also be a sense that your work is spilling into your love life and you need to figure out better protocols around work, around health. Like taking care of yourself, or needing to take care of yourself, needing to rethink your schedule so that your relationship is more healthy and it's like thriving. I can very much see here too. But they could also be about like partnerships and agreements and contracts professionally, where Venus retrogrades from the 7th into the 6th, and you have like a painter coming to paint your ceiling and you don't like their schedule, or you have a contract with someone on YouTube who you're thinking of starting a partnership with, and you realize that you don't quite like the agreement. So needing to renegotiate and maybe get your hands dirty and like talk about something important is very much highlighted here. You can find the candle I recommend, Venus in Libra, on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. And you can also book your natal chart, relationship, or predictive reading on there. Solar return is a great one to get right around your birthday, and year ahead reading you can get very much at any point. For the beautiful Scorpio rising, Venus is retrograding from your 6th into the 5th houses. And as she's moving from the 6th into the 5th, I feel like if we're looking at it as like a continuous storyline, there may be some health matters, some work matters, some like even animal matters that you need to address with Venus in the 6th house, so that your life is more joyful, so that you can be a better partner, so that you can enjoy your sex life, right? If we're talking about like Venus begins the retrograde in the 6th and you are maybe looking at your health after having a baby and, you know, questioning whether you feel attractive. So there might be like quite literal adjustments, like realizing that you need to start exercising, or you need to maybe start saying more positive things to yourself, believe in yourself more. Adjusting maybe some matters at work so that you can spend more time with your child, I can see here as well. Pets, like I said, pets are ruled by the part of the umbrella under the 6th house umbrella. So having to figure out some matters connected to pets so that you're more joyful. Having to deal with like logistics and the grind and the documents and paperwork and things that feel like you need to push through them maybe so that you can work on your creative baby or spend time with your actual baby, which are all parts of the 5th house. And these two can show up as like very separate issues, right? Venus is retrograding in your 6th house until March 27th, and you're dealing with work matters, you're dealing with colleagues, maybe there's some misunderstandings, some contractual issues that you need to address. And then when she retrogrades from the 6th into the 5th on March 27th and until April 12th, you're maybe dealing with an ex that came into your life, or you're addressing a romantic disagreement, or you're feeling a little bit like uninspired. But it could be the time very much when you're feeling like a lack of spark sexually, creatively, professionally, and you're having to, with Venus retrograde, you have to like rediscover it. You have to take out a soccer ball and start playing if that's something you always love to do, or take out the brush and start painting, or go on a date with your significant other. Try to like reignite the spark. Venus rules your 7th house, so it may be not about you. It may be very much about your partner going through a bit more of a difficult time, because in your chart you're Mars, you just finished the retrograde, hooray. But your partner is Venus. So when Venus is retrograde, it may be about them dealing with a rather complicated time. For more, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to take a look at your natal chart, talk about your relationship, your year coming up, and more. And pick up my Exalted Venus candle, Venus and Taurus. Both are really great for the retrograde period. And they fit your chart quite nicely because they highlight houses of relationships and creativity. For the beautiful Sagittarius rising, Venus is retrograding from your 5th into the 4th houses. And so until March 27th, she's retrograde in the 5th house. There may be a sense of like you've lost some inspiration creatively, or you've lost some attraction for your partner. Things may feel a little bit stagnant. And so Venus retrograde may encourage you to rediscover it, to reconnect with your inner child and play or remember what attracted you to your partner in the first place. And so reconnect with them. Reconnecting may also suggest that there are people from your past, like an ex, coming back into your life. You may be questioning matters involving children here. And as Venus retrogrades back into the 4th house on March 27th, there may be an opportunity to move. Maybe you're moving back, actually, to a place you once were. There might also be a sense of needing to move because your child needs something, or in order to become a parent, you need maybe a better, bigger home. Realizing a connection, I think, between your childhood and your romantic life right now can also be very much highlighted here. Or the first half of the retrograde could be about like romance, love, parenthood, creativity. And the second half from March 27th until April 12th could be more about something is happening with your home renovation, home improvement project, or you were supposed to get supplies delivered and they get delayed. But because the two are connected, there is definitely some kind of sense of a flow of like lack of romance, pleasure, inspiration, and maybe a need to find more comfort in the home, to reconnect with family, to heal something, to maybe make changes in your living space so that you have that art studio you've always dreamed about, or you have space for a child that you feel ready for. Venus rules your 6th house and your 11th house, so she may also bring a need to solve some problems, address professional concerns. Maybe you're reconnecting with a friend, or you are reviving an old dream. For more, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com and pick up my Exalted Venus or Venus in Libra 2 candle. Venus in Libra 2 was created with Sagittarius on the ascendant, so it could be really, really great for you and a lovely accompaniment for the retrograde period. For Capricorn rising, Venus is beginning its retrograde in your 4th house, and then on March 27th, she returns into your 3rd house. I see this as some kind of confusion in the family. There might be maybe, some kind of a past issue that you thought was done. Maybe it's a conflict between your mom and your sister, or your dad and your brother. Maybe it's like an old sort of wound that gets reopened, or some kind of childhood drama, or like parents are spilling their beans and telling you secrets, and you're like, I could have gone my entire life without knowing it. And then as Venus retrogrades into the 3rd house, you're getting a chance to examine how you communicate, how you deal with, a sibling. You're having to maybe set some better boundaries within the family. There might also be Venus retrograding in the 4th. There might be, if you are moving or you're redecorating, renovating, you're making some changes to your living situation, there may be some slowdowns, delays, and then as Venus moves back into the 3rd house, you have to kind of problem solve and talk about it and renegotiate things. Opportunities to streamline your schedule, opportunities to rewrite some of the projects too can show up here, because it could be a continuous storyline, but it can also be 2 separate storylines. Like you're dealing with family and you're also dealing with like schedule, you're writing, need to rewrite something, need to like revisit things. It would be more appropriate, let's say, if you're like writing, if your writing partner is your sister, for example, where you need to deal with both. But yeah, I can see like a need to reopen some boxes that you don't want to open. Quite honestly, like for some people it might be like literally, right? Like if you had a family member, like a grandparent pass away, you need to go back to their home and reopen some things and then figure out how to address it. So it could be quite an inspired time, I think, as you deal with these things that are maybe more hidden and introspective. Venus also rules your 5th and 10th houses. So I think you're maybe making changes to your home, family, living situation, your relationships with siblings, your schedule, with the hope of either becoming a parent or finding more pleasure, more joy in your life, and potentially transforming your career. Please share how this resonates. Book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can get a natal chart, predictive, year ahead or solar return, or a relationship reading on there. And I highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle. It's a perfect tool to deal with the retrograde time when we feel a little bit insecure. And it can help you find inspiration, find charm, and manifest the person you desire if you're single. For the lovely Aquarius rising, Venus is retrograding from your third into the second house. And so when she's retrograde between March 1st and 27th in your third house, you're maybe having to rethink some of your everyday life. You're maybe streamlining your schedule. You're maybe dealing with some kind of technical travel issues. There may be some logistical matters with siblings or neighbors that are coming up and you need to address. And then as Venus retrogrades goes into your second house between March 27th and April 12th, that part of the retrograde could be about some debts you forgot you had, paying things off, and maybe dealing with money. Of course, the two can be connected, right? As the retrograde begins and the third goes into the second, you're maybe wondering how you can best use your knowledge and your skills to make money. You're maybe dealing with debts and loans and siblings. If a sibling owes you money, you're maybe having to kind of like talk things out with them and figure out like better ways of getting paid back. There may be some adjustments and maybe some questions around like how to spend your money, what is worth investing in. Of course, I would always recommend that during retrograde, you do not rush to make financial decisions, especially between March 27th and April 12th. Be careful. But it could also, like if we're thinking of like skills, hobbies, finances, maybe you're also learning about investing and you're trying to figure out how to make your money work for you, how to make your money more of an asset than a liability, right? Or like a point of concern. Venus rules your 4th and 9th houses as well. So when she's retrograding, there might be some matters involving home, family, living situation that are coming up. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're buying a property, and some legal issues, maybe exams that you need to take, maybe some travel, going back to a place you once were. I can see here too. Let me know how this resonates. If you have additional questions, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also find the products I create. Highly recommend my Venus candles. Perhaps Venus in Libra is best for you guys, or Venus in Taurus, to make the retrograde period better, to help you have more ease and confidence and magnetism. All of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Last but not least, if you are a Pisces rising, Venus begins its retrograde in your second house on March 1st, and then on the 27th of March, she retrogrades into your first house. So from second into the first. And there could be two separate stories, right? The first half could be about financial matters. There are some debts you forgot you had. There are some spending that needs to get under control. There may be some advice you need to get from financial consultants. And then the latter part of the retrograde could be about you rethinking your look, your image, your style. Maybe you're going back to fix a tattoo you got in the past, or you are you're donating some of your wardrobe, rethinking your style. And of course, the two can be connected, right? I think very much so, because maybe you're wondering how you can better use your resources so that you can live a happier life, so that you can afford more things. Maybe you're wondering what you should be investing into if you have spare money, if you have money to spare. There may be also opportunities to rethink your spendings on like health. Maybe I could see this as some kind of like payment plan with the dentist who gave you a really large bill. Having to also like questioning your priorities is important here, because second house is not just about money. It's also about like what is truly important to you. Do you care about being a part of the corporate environment, or would you rather have like a smaller job but have less stress, right? So some kind of questions around like priorities and goals and interests may also be quite important here. You may find yourself having important conversations, maybe talking to your significant other about money, because Venus rules your 3rd and 8th houses. Maybe rethinking your schedule, rethinking your agreements with other people. Even like even spending money on like third house matters, which would be travel, your car, upgrading your car, upgrading your phone, your laptop, especially if your phone has been like, looking dead for a while. All of that can show up here. If you're looking for more guidance, visit Anastasia.astrology.com. Pick up a year ahead reading, solar return, best done around your birthday, natal chart, or relationship consultation. Exalted Venus is my candle of choice for you guys. It captures Venus and Pisces. It's beautiful green decorated with 7 number of Venus, aquamarine stone of Venus, aquamarine stones. So it's perfect for dealing with otherwise confusing retrograde energy, insecurity. It can help you smooth out the differences and difficulties in relationships and create more inner balance. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys. Your Pisces risings are always here at the end with me. If you have any ideas for possible videos that you'd like to see from me, if you have any questions that you really feel like are important, but you're not seeing a lot of answers for them, let me know in the comments below. Any feedback, let me know. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.